Brothers and sisters, thanks for joining. Hey, today I came across this story about a postal worker stripped of his citizenship, and that caught my attention because Trump has been talking about stripping illegal alien children of their citizenship if they were born here. That's not quite right, but we'll get into it. This is of particular interest to me because, little known fact, I'm a naturalized citizen. I was born in Scotland, but I've been an American citizen since I was 6. So I got to America as quick as I could, and then I got to Texas as quick as I could. So I am actually naturalized citizen. So this interests me because, under what terms could a naturalized citizen lose their citizenship? This is important information for me. So let's read this. So this is a news story from September 3rd, and this is justice.gov. So this is the U.S. Justice Department made this press release. And I don't know if the press will pick this up or not, but I wanted to. And I'll link it so you guys can read it. So let's read it and then we'll talk about it. And I'll kind of give my opinion of what I know because I have looked into this topic a little bit because it is important to me. Former postal worker stripped of citizenship, sentenced to 66 months in prison for stealing 1.6 million from the U.S. mail. Oh, wow. A postal worker stole 1.6 million. Let's see. How did he do that? Let's see. Hakikosela Muchimba, I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how I'm going to say it. 45, a former letter carrier for the U.S. Postal Service and resident of the District of Columbia, was stripped of his U.S. citizenship and sentenced to 66 months in federal prison today in connection with mail theft and bank fraud scheme that illegally netted him 1.6 million, announced U.S. Attorney Jeannie Ferris Piro. She's tough. And I'm sure this will all get appealed, so it'll take a while to play through the appeals process. But again, this interests me. Federal jury found Muchimba guilty on 14 March 25 of conspiracy to commit theft of mail and bank fraud. Theft of mail, bank fraud, engaging in monetary transaction in property derived from specified unlawful activity, and unlawful procurement of citizenship by naturalization. Okay, they're revoking it because they claim he unlawfully procured it. Okay, let's see what that's all about. In addition to the 66-year prison sentence, U.S. District Court Judge Rudolph Contreras ordered Machimbo to pay $651,000 in restitution to victims to forfeit his ill-gotten gains of about 1.3 million. Muchimba also will be subject to deportation. Good. I've always said if you are not a U.S. citizen and you commit a crime, we should deport you. That's all I need to know. You committed a crime. And this guy actually was a U.S. citizen, but if they can prove he improperly gained that citizenship and revoked status, then yeah, they get to kick him out. So let's see a little bit more about this. So I'm all for this if it's legal to revoke his citizenship. If it's not legal, then no, he's a U.S. citizen. You can't deport him. Muchimba, originally of the Republic of Zambia, was naturalized as an American citizen May 26, 22. The mail theft and bank fraud scheme ran from December 20 and March 23. On his application for citizenship, he falsely claimed to the United States Immigration Service he had not previously committed any criminal activity. All the while, he was actively conducting his theft of mail and scheme to defraud. Because it was unlawfully procured, the court revoked his citizenship. So the court actually revoked it, not the State Department. That's good. He will appeal it because I'm sure his lawyers will claim he wasn't actually convicted of a crime at the time. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how that works. But it seems to me like he lied on his citizenship application. So, okay. Joining in the announcement of the sentencing was Special Agent in Charge Kathleen Woodson of the U.S. Postal Service, Office of the Inspector General. According to court documents, between December 20 and March 23rd, Muchimba was a letter carrier based in Friendship Heights. He executed a scheme to steal U.S. Treasury checks and private party checks from U.S. mail. Wow. The stolen checks were intended for district postal customers living on over 30 different mail routes. Muchimba deposited the checks, sometimes while wearing his U.S. postal uniform, into bank accounts under his control. Bank surveillance footage captured images of him making deposits and withdrawals of funds. Yes, this looks like this is an open shut case of him stealing people's mail and profiting. But I think the naturalization one is going to be the sticky one. The total amount of U.S. Treasury checks fraudulently deposited in Muchimba's various bank accounts was over 1.6 million. Muchimba used the money to fund a lavish lifestyle that included international travel, stays at luxury hotels, and $100,000 spent at gentlemen clubs. Wow, he liked the ladies for sure. He was a player at the clubs. They must have loved him. $100,000. Muchimba was arrested on September 2023 at Dulles International Airport on attempt to board the flight to Zambia. At the time of his arrest, Muchimba had $2,000 in cash in his luggage. Yeah, he probably knew he was in trouble. The investigation was conducted by the U.S. Postal Service Office of the Inspector General, the Department of Treasury, the Inspector General of Tax Administration, and Homeland Security Investigations. The case was prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney John Borchet and Diane Fucus of the Fraud and Public Corruption and Civil Rights Section. Yeah, so how do I feel about this? Yeah, again, it looks like it's open and shut that he's a thief who stole people's checks. The naturalization, if he did lie in his application, then I'm okay with that. My thought is I hope my mom didn't lie on her application or I could be in trouble. But I didn't actually commit that fraud. But, hey, yeah, if the parents did bad things and the children aren't really citizens, then, hey, they got to be sent back too. So that's been kind of what I've been saying. So my mom married an American serviceman when I was little. They got her naturalized in 1974, and my sister and I were just lucky because we didn't have to do anything. We just had to show up, and I think I had to sign my name at a courthouse in California at the time, but I was 6. 6 or 7. I didn't have to do anything. So I hope my mom didn't commit fraud, otherwise they might be able to kick me out of the country one day, and I might have to go back to Scotland or Ireland. But with that, so what else do I think? Yeah, I think it's good. I think they should revoke his citizenship if he did lie. He's a criminal. I don't want criminals in our country if they're not American citizens. I don't really want American citizens who are criminals either, but you can't really kick them out. And then just broadly, since we're talking about this, Trump has famously said that he wants to stop illegal aliens who have children in America from their children gaining American citizenship. So the way the law has been interpreted for many years since, I think it was the 14th Amendment that was really fashioned to give former slaves American citizenship because they weren't technically citizens at the time. And I think that was quite right. I'm glad the Republicans did that. It was not intended to give it to people who came into the country illegally. And I don't really want them benefiting. So I'm actually all for this attempt by Trump to reframe the discussion, and really is just reframing. It's not clear how the courts will rule on this. And so far, yes, the appeals courts have blocked this order, which I think is right. I think that's the right thing. It's up to the courts to call the balls and strikes and then let it work its way up to the Supreme Court. This will get to the Supreme Court. There's no doubt about it within, probably the next year. And now how will the court rule? So I've looked back and researched this a little, and basically what it says is, in general, they can only revoke U.S. citizenship involuntarily for you if you committed some kind of fraud in the process of becoming a U.S. citizen. And so lying on your naturalization papers, I think a court would agree, meets that standard. So I think he's going to lose after his jail time be deported. And I'm quite all right with that. Now, it gets a little trickier for people that are born in America because 14th Amendment has been interpreted to mean if it doesn't matter how you got here. If you were born here, you're an American citizen, end of story. And that's how it's been for about the last 100 years, I would say. I went back and did some research. I found 2 cases that I think are applicable in this. And I'm not a lawyer, but I think they do apply. One, there was a man who was born here. He might have thought he was a U.S. citizen. He voted for years and he was in his 60s. And all of a sudden, it flagged up that his father had diplomatic immunity at the time he was born and was a foreign diplomat from another country. And the courts, again in Washington, D.C., ruled, I think this was about 5 years ago, that he was not a U.S. citizen. And the reason was the law says that you have to be under the kind of legal authority of the United States at the time of the birth, or your parents have to be under the legal authority. If you have diplomatic immunity, then there's no legal authority. Recently, the courts have said, hey, but there's legal authority over anyone in the country. That's I think the questionable bit. The other case I found that was interesting was from about 100 years ago, but still perfectly applies. And this was a Japanese American. He was born in America, 100%. His parents had come over from Japan and opened a business, and that business went well. They had a child. Eventually, that kid a couple of times went back to Japan to visit relatives. Well, one of the times he came back to the U.S., he was denied entry as an alien national from Japan. And he said, no, I was born here. Well, that case went all the way to the Supreme Court. And in that case, the Supreme Court agreed with the Japanese American man and said, nope, he's a citizen, let him back in. And in the court's opinion, their reasoning said that his parents were in the country legally. So because they were here legally, they were under the control and power of the U.S. government, and he was a citizen. So that, I believe, is the lever Trump is trying to pull on. He's going to try to say that if you're in the country illegally, then you're not a citizen. If your parents are here legally, then they are. So I think that that's how this is going to go. And I'm all for it. I also agree with Trump. I came the right way, or my mom came the right way and did all the hard work that she needed to do to become a citizen. And I think anyone who wants to come to America should do the same. America can't take everyone, and we don't want everyone to come here. That would just, if we took everyone, we would just turn into another third world country because there's too many people and not enough resources. It's not about racism. I don't care where you came from. I'm fine deporting anybody if they're not an American. But I'm not fine with deporting Americans. I do not believe you can deny entry to your own citizens for your country. I think that that's bad form. I think even like during COVID, they were denying people the ability to get back to their country in some cases. And I think that's wrong. You can't do that. Citizens have the right of abode in their country. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did I get anything here wrong? Are there any legal cases out there that you guys know about that disputes what I've just said? If so, send me the links. I'm very interested in this one because I don't want to get deported. As far as I know, I haven't committed any crimes yet, so I think I'm going to be fine. That's what I think. Yes, I'm glad this guy was arrested. I'm glad he got his time in jail. I'm glad the D.C. court found, in my opinion, appropriately. I don't think illegal alien children should benefit from the crimes of their parents. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you do. If you don't watch me. Thanks. Bye.